Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 4 from Marvel Comics. So in the last issue, Peter came across Green Goblin, found out his identity as Harry Osborn. Harry Osborn finds out that Spider-Man is Peter Parker, and the two of them decide to get a drink together. And that's what this issue is going to be. We start off with Mary Jane and Peter at a restaurant. It seems to be like a really fancy restaurant. And we just kind of have some playful wording between the two of them about like Mary's like telling Peter that he dresses up very nicely and stuff. So yeah, we can kind of see them being lovey-dovey. I like this. I like seeing a Peter Parker and Mary Jane in a happy, loving relationship. And that's when Harry shows up. And eventually the two of them start chatting for a while. Mary says that her job is that of a PR. So she's doing like, PR stuff. And eventually Harry's wife shows up. And Harry's wife is Gwen Stacy. And I will say that I thought this was kind of weird. I wasn't sure why they didn't just went with Liz, because the personality that we get from Gwen Stacy pretty much reminds me very much of Liz. So here, Gwen Stacy is the CEO of a company, and she kind of has this, I don't know how to explain it really. A very forceful personality, I guess I would say. But yeah, we have the two of them. They're just like eating dinner. And that's what most of this issue is. There is absolutely no action whatsoever in this entire issue. And I'm actually okay with that. See, the funny thing is that having our heroes eating and talking has been a problem with a lot of comics nowadays, at least from the big two, because we get a lot of people who should not be writing comics, and all they write is characters eating and talking, and not really doing any superhero stuff. And it becomes very, very annoying. But the reason why I like this here is because here it's not just characters eating and talking. I mean, yeah, that's the actions that they're doing, but it's the conversation that's very interesting. And then also, why I will say I prefer the original artwork that we got from the first 3 issues. Like right now, we kind of have like a guest artist. I don't think they did too bad of a job. I prefer the original artist, who I guess is supposed to come back in issue number 6. But here, pay attention to the body language from the characters as they're talking and eating. It tells its own little story. So that's why I liked this. I mean, I like slice of life manga, so I don't mind characters just doing ordinary things. Obviously, if it's a superhero series, I'd rather have my superhero characters doing superhero things. But it's okay for this issue because of the way that it's setting up what's going to go down in the future, it's planting little seedlings, the character interactions, their body language, what their actual dialogue is. All that is very interesting. And so I found myself actually entertained with this. So even though this is a very talk heavy, just mundane kind of issue where our hero does not do any kind of action whatsoever, there's not even any other character doing any action. There's no action whatsoever in this entire issue from anybody. It's still a very entertaining issue. Yeah, basically they just kind of chat. We find out that, well, I should say the Osborns find out that Mary Jane and Peter have kids, that Gwen Stacy doesn't have any kids yet, that she would like to think that she can be a good mom, but they're still considering it. We get more of like Harry saying that the holdup is that the world that they're going to be bringing them into, the kids. So we get this very, it's kind of like almost uncomfortable, where we see Mary Jane and Peter are trying to keep everything kind of like lively and stuff. But from Harry, we kind of see that Harry sees the world as this very, I don't want to say disgusting, but very violent place where like criminals are getting away with things, and that society needs to change for the better. He doesn't outright come and say this, which is good because that's not how real people talk, but just his body language and the words that he uses when he describes certain things, you can kind of get that there's a little bit of something here with Harry. And we even get a little bit of that with Gwen. But yeah, Mary Jane starts talking about how she runs her own PR. She does freelance. There was like a funny moment where she mentions damage control. And I know that she's talking about the Marvel version of damage control. But as soon as I heard that, all I can think of is the stable from WWE. And I'm like, why is Mary Jane being the PR for Dakota Kai and Kairi Sane and Asuka and Io Sky and stuff. But yeah, we find out that Mary Jane is also working with Uncle Ben and Jameson, and that she came up with a name for their newspaper site called The Paper, which Jameson doesn't understand because he's like, we're just doing online stuff, like we're doing online news articles and things. So why is it called The Paper? Is it supposed to be ironic? I kind of also like this little like interaction where first off we see that Mayday does not care for Jameson for whatever reason. We also find that Richard is like obsessed with reading to the point where Uncle Ben is like, "How about we watch some TV because you still got an hour before bed?" And he's like, "Nah, I don't think so." And Uncle Ben's like, "You're a good man." So I did see that there are some people thinking that Hickman takes a shot at Zeb in this issue, where Richard says everybody should read a lot, and Uncle Ben responds with, "Sure, but you got to give them a reason to," which can be a little tricky. I was cruising message boards and stuff, and I see that a lot of people like interpret that as a shot at Zeb, because I guess Zeb's version of Spider-Man is not doing very good. I wouldn't know because I haven't been reading it, and I don't care to read it. Because yeah, I pretty much have given up on Spider-Man. The only reason I'm reading Ultimate Spider-Man was just because I saw some images from Twitter of all places where we see like Peter happily married to Mary Jane, and we see like his interaction with his daughter. And I was like, oh, that seems very sweet. I'll give it a try. And so I read the first 2 issues and instantly fell in love. So that's the only reason I'm even reading this series. Other than that, I've kind of given up on Spider-Man because just the way Marvel treats him. This is the best Spider-Man that we've gotten in so long, and yeah, it's really a shame that canon Spider-Man can't be like this. But eventually, we come back to Mary Jane and the group, and Gwen Stacy goes to the bathroom. Mary Jane goes with her, and while there, Gwen proposes to Mary Jane to hire her services. Well, she basically says, I have money that I need to offload. I've already given money to like all the charities and stuff that I usually give to. Can you set up a meeting with Uncle Ben and Jameson? Because she's thinking about putting money into their publication. And basically, to quote Gwen Stacy, I'm kind of in the mood to see if I can launch a pirate ship. I'm kind of wondering if Gwen is going to be trying to use Jameson and Uncle Ben push some stories. Because we get talks where Gwen basically earlier she says that she feels like the stories on Spider-Man, for example, are very vague. They just talk about the fact that there's this guy in a mask going around doing stuff, but they don't really talk about what he's doing. Like they don't necessarily paint him as a villain, but they don't paint him as a hero either. And she says she wonders why they're not doing that. She believes that, well, if we say that he's a hero, then it'll make the people question why is there someone who has taken up this superhero mantle? Why does he think that he needs to be a hero? Is there something wrong with our society that we need a hero? And again, this kind of goes back to Harry Osborn, where Harry kind of keeps pushing the fact that society needs someone to come in and fix it because it's clearly damaged right now. Yeah, it's kind of making me think if Gwen's going to try to put money into the paper so that they'll be pushing stories like that, which will just kind of paint a target on Uncle Ben and Jameson. And if Mary Jane's involved, they'll paint a target on her, which will then lead to Peter. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting me right there. We also get the fact that Harry Osborn calls out Peter on not telling Mary Jane about the fact that he's a hero, that he's Spider-Man, that Gwen Stacy knows that Harry is the Green Goblin, and also makes me wonder if Harry told Gwen Stacy that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Peter says, you told Gwen? And Harry says, yeah. And Peter says, how much? And Harry says, everything. Which makes me believe that everything means not just the fact that he's Green Goblin, but also that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So now we got this thing where like, if you know that information and you go back and read the earlier conversation that's going down, and you keep in mind that Gwen knows that Peter is Spider-Man, then her interactions with Peter and Mary Jane, especially her speeches on superheroes and stuff, it kind of has this whole new twist that has like a whole new layer to it. And then we even get a moment where Harry is the one that drops the "with great power comes great responsibility." However, there almost seems to kind of be a sinister twist to it. Whereas in the original, when Uncle Ben says it, he's basically saying that if you have these powers, you should use them for good. You should be helping people out and stuff. Whereas when Harry says it, when you think about his earlier conversations and stuff like that, just the way he's saying it, like when he drops the line, it doesn't seem heroic or good. Like there's a shadow on his face. It almost sounds kind of sinister. And it almost seems like he's kind of flipped that line. And his version of it is, if you have the power, you should use it. And you should use it to change the world. And you should change the world to Harry, make the world a better place, but at what cost? Like, it's almost like, are you going to become like almost like a dictator so that you can control everything and make things better? Like, it's just, it's a nice little twist on "with great power comes great responsibility." It almost has like a little sinister undertone. Yeah, that's basically what this issue is. It's just nothing but talking, but there's just so many layers to it. Just, again, the panel layouts, the body language of the characters, the words that they use, their facial expressions when they say certain things. You can almost paint it as like when Harry says, "with great power comes great responsibility," and we see like just his stoic face, the shadows over that's like hiding half his face. It kind of gives like this sinister kind of vibe to it. Even Gwen Stacy and just what she says, the way she says things. And then later on, when you read that Harry told her everything, so she probably knows about Peter being Spider-Man. So then if you go back and you reread the conversation again with that knowledge, it changes everything a little bit. So I love all these little layers. So something as simple as Mary Jane and Peter Parker having dinner with Harry Osborn and Gwen Stacy becomes a whole like dramatic situation in itself, not because of anything actually dramatic happening, like they're not going at each other's throats. There's nothing like this. It's just the little layers and like just the little stuff that you have to kind of pay attention to. And so I love this. I thought this was really great. Like, this is how you do characters eating and talking correctly. I don't mind having an issue with no action if it's like this. The action itself isn't physical. It's in the words, it's in the body language, it's in the dialogue, it's in the facial expressions. It's just, this was awesome. And I'm kind of just rambling at this point, but I thought this issue was really, really good. For an issue that had nothing to do whatsoever with fighting villains and Spider-Man being Spider-Man, for an issue that's nothing but Peter Parker and Harry and Gwen and Mary Jane talking to each other, this was phenomenal. So, yeah, I've been loving the hell out of this run so far, and I highly recommend checking it out. So there you go. There's Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 4 from Marvel Comics. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.